Constituents in Indiana 2nd District, you have helped, in the 5 years I've been here, you've been able to mitigate and help somewhere over 90% of the questions that we've had, and I'm very, very grateful to you for what you've done. You've probably seen everything in 16 years. So I just wanted to pick up on what you said that you learned from the hearings that you guys had on the issues of ID theft, tax fraud, and scams. That's what we really get burdened by, folks in our district that have gotten caught in these issues. And my question is this. On this return review program, the RRP, that started in 2009, this thing has tended to end up to be like a boondoggle. I just kind of wanted to hear from you on it. On its successor, the Electronic Fraud Detection System, or the EFDS, which in 2010, the IRS said was too risky to maintain, upgrade, or operate beyond 2015. But here we are in 2017. The EFDS is still the principal fraud detection system because the RRP still isn't ready for prime time. In fact, TIGTA said there's no estimated date for full implementation, and GAO estimates that the program has incurred over $86.5 million in cost overruns. So when the RRP has run as a pilot, it yielded a high false positive rate, and it missed $313 million in fraudulent filings. So let's set aside the numbers and stats and talk about the actual people behind them. You've documented well what taxpayers go through in your annual reports, but for the benefit of everyone here, can you walk us through what happens to a single mom, a small business owner, a person who either gets flagged as a false positive or a fraudulent return? Can you just go through how they find out, what hoops they go through, and what this really means to people?
Right, depending on what system triggers them as a suspected fraudulent return, they either get a letter or their refund is just held up and they have to call the IRS. If they get a letter, they're told that they have to verify themselves either online or they may have to go into a walk-in site. And to do that, they just can't walk in. They're no longer walk-in sites. They have to make an appointment. And sometimes you're told it might take weeks to get an appointment and you won't be able to get your refund before you do that. And then even if that you go through that, it may be that your return is stopped by some other filter once it goes back into the processing, so then you have to go through it all again. Identity theft and return and refund fraud have been the top 2 case receipts in Taxpayer Advocate Service for the last 5 years, and they really are a significant part of our inventory. It's devastating to people.
And so, aside from the time element and the frustration, does it not cost taxpayers as well money if they need to seek professional services to be their advocate?
Absolutely. And this affects people who are low income, high income, it doesn't matter. And people are having to get their preparers to call, and people often submit documentation multiple times. There is no one person assigned to their case, so every time they call, they have to tell their story to a different person. These are all recommendations we've made. You know, the other thing on the filters is that we have recommended that the IRS create sort of a dedicated team during the filing season on the IT side. So as we start seeing filters that have very high false positive rates, that you have a team that can get in there and adjust those filters. Don't wait until later.
I apologize to interrupt,
yeah.
but what about commercially available technology that's there? Is it your opinion that, just from a common sense perspective, this would be where we would move to with an unbelievable amount of errors and fraud and money that's being spent and this whole lack of accountability on this system? Would you not agree that that would be someplace that we could look at and say, let's mitigate this as quickly as we can on behalf of the taxpayers?
Certainly the financial sector has tried to figure out about financial fraud and electronic fraud, and the IRS is meeting with those people. The commissioners established the Security Summit, and I think that's a significant step.
I appreciate it, and we're out of time. I yield back, and thanks again.